I am forecasting distressed properties virtually everywhere. I don't think any community is going to be immune. Now, some are going to be a lot better than others. I live here in Scottsdale. I think Scottsdale is going to be better, but I don't think it's going to be immune. I think we have problems coming everywhere. We've talked about this before. Lots of lies were told to us. We were gaslit by the Biden administration. So we're just going to have to deal with this. And I'm a cycle guy. It's just time. And we are going to have an opportunity absolutely everywhere. So, yeah, there's going to be some problems. So, if you're over leveraged, heavily in debt, your job's shaky, you're running out of cash, you'd better get yourself straight now because I think you're heading for some big, big trouble. But if you got your credit and you've got just a little bit of income, you don't need a whole lot, and you've got some your credit intact, some income, and some down payment, you're going to do just fine. We're going to make a fortune. So let me just open this up. Let's just talk about what I see is coming to us. And I love your comments. I love your thumbs up if you can. If you like my videos, I'd love to get a subscription from you because YouTube loves that stuff. But we've got some problems. So let's see if we can't all get through it. It's going to end just like it always says beginning. It always has an end. I can see the ending on the charts. It's not very far away, and we are going to make a fortune. So let me go to my slides here, and let's just talk about where we're at. So look at, when we talk about cycles, this is what we're looking at. Now, this will be my fourth one. I started in 1972, if you can believe that. And I didn't know things were bad because I was brand new. I did okay. So 1972, 1990, 2008, and 2026. How about that? It's like every 18 years. We've been talking about the 18-year cycle, and there it is, right in black and white, right in front of you. And this is coming. Now, we can see this if you go to my prior videos, and I would suggest you look at the prior videos. Real estate is a really simple cycle. 14 years up, 4 years down. Once you know when it peaks, and look, I gave you all kinds of time. We peaked almost 3 years ago in June of 2022. We've been on a moratorium for new capital ever since then. But that's going to end very, very shortly. But we're going to go into this reset of 2026. It's going to be brutal, but it's 4 years. So once we get into 26, 27, the down is going to be over with. Now, it's not going to start recovering right away, but all the really hard stuff will be behind us, and we're going to start buying. I want you to understand this. We are going to make a fortune if you're ready. So look, we're already putting lists together, getting our financing together, finding out who wants what and who doesn't want what, make sure that I'm a good fit for you and you're a good fit for me. But I've done this. This will be the fourth time I've gone through it. And the last time, the biggest mistake I made in 2009, I didn't buy enough. So you're going to have this opportunity. So if you were missed, if you were left behind and you weren't ready, get ready now. This will be the last one I get a chance. I mean, goodness gracious, most people, Warren Buffett's gotten, more than me, and he's waiting. So he's putting his cash together. He's selling his stuff, getting his cash put together because he's going to buy like a crazy man when the markets come down. I think we're very, very close to that. And we're going to probably have some problems in the economy. Okay. There's nothing you can do about it. These things build up, and now they have to be resolved. So let me go to my next slide, and let's just talk about what we're talking about here. So, look, I'm in the housing. Home builders and home buyers, man, they are just shaky as all get out. This is a home buyer confidence. This is down here. This is for people like first-time home buyers more than anything else. It's like down in the dumps. People are not excited about buying a property, and builders the same thing. And I've been talking about the fact that builders have to get out of their land. They will do anything. They're going to have all kinds of incentives. They're going to make all kinds of deals to get out of the lots because the lots will take them down. But you can see the plunge here. It's just been awful. Builder spec inventory is just piling up, It's also right now better to make to buy a brand new home than buy an existing home. Of course, you're always out on the fringe. Remember that, and builders start 5 o'clock in the morning hammering and stuff, and trucks and people coming by. So it's not always fun. A couple of years before they build it out, but it's actually cheaper because the builders want to get rid of this inventory. We have all the standing inventory. Now, I'm going to tell you, if all you do is go to Federal Reserve electronic data, there's like 1 million properties sitting around. So a lot of these properties are 90% done, 95% done. They don't want to finish them because now they become a spec. So if they leave them unfinished, the lenders are going to go ahead and keep them on construction loans once they roll it over. But then, it's a different ballgame. So we have all this, and builders really want to get rid of it. They are scared to death. That's not a good sign. A lot of these builders are heavily in debt. Let me go to my next slide, and let's just take a look at this. Now, we just got this from April 2025. We got this from Zero Hedge. Pending home sales, they're the worst since the great financial crisis. Look at all the way back to here. You have to go all the way back here. If we just said we have to, this is kind of a fake thing, but even so, it goes all the way back. In fact, it might even be the worst. We're not going to do 4 million resale homes this year, and we're losing probably 50, 60, 70% of realtors are going to be gone. So good cleansing from my industry. Only the people who really know what the heck is going on are going to be in business. Some people that you can count on. Sales are terrible all across the country, though. They're in all 4 regions of the country, and the West, where I'm at, went down 8.9%. We had a terrible April. And April is our selling season. That's where we sell a lot of properties. Bad. It was a bad April. So I'm expecting it's going to get worse from here. So if April was the best, April was bad, barring something really crazy. I think we're going to just go decline from here. I'm fully expecting that the Federal Reserve is going to start reducing interest rates, and it's going to be way too late because already we can see unemployment is rising. These WARN notices, you know what WARN notice is? That's when the major manufacturers have to send like 60 or 90-day notice out to their workers that they're going to be laying off so that they can start trying to find other jobs. Those have been all across the country. All 50 states have that, and so. Unemployment is coming, and it's going to be brutal. So a lot of these people, are just hanging on. We've talked about this in former videos. If you most of the ones who are in trouble are the starter homes. That's the affordability problem. That's where it's all at. I mean, if you're paying cash for a problem, this is not a problem for you. You pay cash for your house, not a problem. If you buy it as FHA and you're borrowing money from mom and dad to get the money put down, and you put 4% down and you finance back the MIP, you've got about 0.5% of equity in the property, and the house goes down 10 or 15%, you're way underwater. And now lose your job on top of that. Now we have problems. So this is what has happened in the last 4 recessions. I think this is going to be a doozy. I think Europe is really in trouble. Let me go to my next slide. Let me open this up a little bit so that you can see this. And let me go to my next slide, and we'll just talk about that. Now, so we're into a negative GDP. Even adjusting it annually couldn't save this. We're also on when we do the gross domestic income, that also has gone down and is negative. So also the S&P earnings are down $100 billion. So what has really propped up the stock market has been this extraordinary earnings, and that's coming to an end. It used to be 5% of earnings, now it's 12.5%. These are unsustainable levels, and we're just now starting to slow down really, really fast. Now, I got this just like 2 or 3 days ago, and we're seeing the jobless claims continue to rise. This is a problem. This is what we're talking about. So it's not terrible yet, but it's the wrong way. And from what we hear and from the anecdotals and just from our tenants that are talking to us, I think we have some major problems here, and this is going up. It's going in the wrong directions for this. Once this is the final stool on this, we've talked about manufacturing slowing and car sales are slowing. I mean, real estate slowing. Real estate is a huge part of the economy. You buy a house, you automatically go out and start looking at furniture. We look at appliances. You look at the landscaping. You spend money on drapes and curtains and window treatments, and everybody gets paid, from appraisers to loan officers to real estate agents to escrow officers and repairmen that do the repairs to the property prior to close, and home inspectors. It's just a huge amount of people that get paid. And of course, when transactions have dropped 50-60%, a lot of these people are losing 50-60% of their income. A lot of the realtors in my business, of course, haven't had a sale in a year or so. Let me go to my next slide, and let's just talk about that. Some really interesting things going on here. So if things get bad, I think a lot of the banks are sitting on billions and billions and billions of dollars of unrealized gains. Jamie Dimon just came out, said that there's going to be a bond market crisis. The banks are thin. Also, I've talked about the fact, I thought 2-3 weeks ago there was a credit crisis, and I've gone over this in my former videos, but let me just really quickly just say that when you have banks, when you have the phenomenon when the stock market goes down and the bonds also go down, that means someone's selling bonds. So they're selling the stock market, they're also selling bonds, putting pressure on the bonds. Bond prices go down, interest rates go up, and we saw the dollar go down at the same time. Well, that's a really odd combination. Typically, when you have the stock market in trouble, people go to bonds for safety, but both were hit. And if you think about this, in Europe, they're really in deep trouble. They're already in recession. I mean, they are going to head into a depression. They are really bad. If you're a bank in Germany, say you're Deutsche Bank, and you need money because they're taking all kinds of losses, these towers go down, like $300-400 million. That's significant money. You have to sell assets. A lot of these banks hold their assets in U.S. treasuries. So when they need money, they sell the bonds, which is on our market. You can see the bonds being sold. When they sell bonds, interest rates go up because it's putting pressure in the bond market. But the odd thing was that the dollar was also sold. And everybody's saying, everybody's trying to get out of dollar. When you sell treasuries, you get U.S. dollars for the sale of your treasury. And if you're Deutsche Bank, dollars don't do you any good. You got to convert that into marks. So they sell the U.S. dollar to get marks, which is giving this dollar selling pressure. This happened in 2008. You can see it on the charts. And if you just go to Federal Reserve electronic data, you can see this. And that is a credit problem, and it's probably coming. I think that was a trigger. I think that we're going to have problems very, very quickly. And that's my take on that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to tell you a lot of these banks are in real trouble. I'm hearing that like 500 banks in Europe are insolvent. Yeah, insolvent. That's really hard. Go to the next slide, and let's just talk about that. So this is one of the big things in my business, is that the Biden administration tried to do absolutely everything they can to kind of gaslight us and let us know that things are so much better than they really were. So instead of adding $800,000 jobs during the middle of last year, the economy actually lost 160,000. So it's almost like a million job differential. And they were just, if you follow my videos, I kept saying this data is just so hard to find. And here's what else we find is that the Biden administration was hiding this. We've got delinquent FHA loans everywhere. I'm told 1.2 million, over 12% of their portfolio is delinquent. Now, once they start getting 60, 90-day delinquent, they're heading to foreclosure. And this is what they did for the Biden administration. They did what they called an FHA payment supplement. And that was in addition to the other programs that they had. But the Biden administration was literally making these people's house payment for like 3 years. Yes, they went to low mod, and then they could go into this for 3 years, and the government would make their house payments. So they could go years and years and years and never make the payment. And here's what happened. So in all of 2024, there's 9 foreclosures for FHA. 9 nationwide. How is this even possible? 9 foreclosures. So the Trump administration comes in, and in 12 weeks from when they were had inauguration to the end of the first quarter, they stopped this, and 92,000 FHA properties went to foreclosure, from 9 for the whole year to 92,000 in like the first 11 weeks of the Trump administration. Plus, now we've got you can't get another mortgage, can't get an FHA if you got student loans that are in default. So, guys, I don't see how that we can say, oh, everything's going to be okay. Everything is not okay. So you just need to be aware of this. If you got a house to sell, you better get on the stick. And when these things start heading down like this, you have to get ahead of the curve, or you don't sell your house. It's a really, really brutal thing that happens. Let me go to my next slide here, and let's just talk. I don't want to be here all day. So, let's just talk about this. So here's the 93,000 filings. It's just truly, truly amazing what's going on. We're going to see this absolutely everywhere, because something always breaks, and I think it's in the process of breaking right now. And a lot of people, the banks and the lenders, are going to hit the panic button. And panic is for amateurs. We see this coming. There's no such thing as a panic for us. We see it. But we're going to see panic absolutely everywhere. You're going to see people lose their houses and their cars. Car payments, $1,400 for a car payment. People are maxed on their credit cards. They've depleted their savings. They're actually going into their retirement funds now. It's going to be brutal. Now, this is where I'm at. If you want to get involved, we're going to start buying, not yet, but soon, and we're going to buy an awful lot. Now, I can only deal with so many people. I'd love to have your business. We have a full staff here. If I'm good for you and you're good for me, let's talk about this. Let's get together. Let's do a consultation. See what you need to do to get involved. If you're doing a 1031, if you've got properties in Chicago or St. Louis or Milwaukee, Minnesota, Seattle, Portland, San Diego, San Francisco, we need to talk to you about what we're going to do to relocate those properties. Here in Phoenix, we're going to have a boom. Now, remember, we have things already under construction. So we've got the Taiwan semiconductor that's going right now. And the president is bringing $10 trillion worth of manufacturing back. That all has to be built. So there's going to be a couple-year lag. Here in Phoenix, we're already up and running. We're doing this now. It's going to only get better. So we can place those money. If you've got investments around the country that if you're in Chicago, and you can honestly say to yourself that things in 5 years, I am going to be so much better off, then fine, leave your property in Chicago. If you can't say that, then you need to move it here to Phoenix. Phoenix was of the 15 major metropolitan statistical areas, Phoenix was number 1 for manufacturing and GDP increase. Chicago was 15th. So if you're in Chicago, what are you doing? There's better places around. You can do, if you do a 1031 exchange, all that capital gain that you've built up for the last, 10 or 15 years, that gets transferred without any tax. You don't have to pay for that. That's so we can take care of that for you. We do this all the time. So consult with us. I have to charge you. It's not going to be free, but it's not terribly expensive. We'll make you money. We're going to make you money. So let's get together. If you have any questions, please put it down in the comments. I do like to answer the questions. I love to hear what's going. I love to hear what's going on in your portion of the country. Not everywhere is going to be exactly the same. Some places are going to be better than others. I don't believe anyone's going to be immune. So listen, my very, very best to you guys.